It's my pleasure to introduce a guest speaker for this morning to kick things off. We're joined by Melissa Gentry, the map collection supervisor at Ball State Libraries, for her presentation, The Power of Maps in Historic Preservation Education. Melissa, you've come to the right place. We're really thrilled to have you, so thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Move this down. Thanks so much for having me. As he said, I'm Melissa Gentry. I'm the supervisor of the Paul W. Stout Map Collection. It's newly named as of November. And I'll talk more about that here in a second. And we're located on the second floor of Bracken Library, if you ever make your way up to Ball State. It's one of the largest and most diverse collection of maps, atlases, and other cartographic collections in the region, not just the state. And the map that I have displayed here was actually created by Ball State art students, and I'll talk more about that here in a second. But you may also recognize this as, it's a map of Muncie, but it's also a map of Pawnee if you're a Parks and Rec fan. If you've ever seen a map of Pawnee, it's just Muncie turned upside down. So if you look at this upside down, that's a map of Pawnee. So just a little fun trivia fact there for you, since we're in Indianapolis. The collection is named in honor of Paul Stout, that's him on the top right, who served as the founding map librarian at Ball State University from 1976 to 2003. It includes over 140,000 maps in hundreds of languages of every country, thousands of cities, national parks, rivers and watersheds, and even fictional places like Narnia, Oz, and Middle-earth. It's literally a world of maps. Some of the maps are rare originals, like the one that Paul is looking at, collected by Paul. This is a map of Eastern Europe that was used at the Treaty of Trianon at the end of World War I to create the borders of the nation of Hungary. Paul's favorite type of maps were the historic road maps that you see here on the bottom. So that collection is really strong, and those get used a lot every year for research and site planning projects. And a social studies class just created a webpage about transportation in Indiana history using some of our maps. So maps are a unique primary source for students, and they are a medium for inspiring and imagining change and how to navigate spaces. Maps are the key to connecting to a sense of place because they also serve as informative storytelling devices. They represent a visual platform for users to create, engage in, define, and comprehend cultural and historic concepts related to the environment, human rights, language, income, urbanization, ethnicity, poverty, war, inequality, and education. The map collection strives to preserve these historic maps and primary sources for students and the broader community to use as learning objects and tools. And the collection is constantly evolving and growing, including adding maps created by students. But it is also striving to be a useful community partner in all fields related to historic preservation. The maps in our collection circulate just like books, but the challenge is getting the maps out of the drawers and into the classrooms across campus, into the hands and papers and projects and minds of students and faculty and researchers. Luckily, we also have a robust scanning capability in the basement of Library Support Services. The collection also includes over 3,000 diverse thematic atlases that can easily be scanned for use in research papers and presentations. The newest atlases are focused on the changing landscapes of cities, so that's been our focus lately. I've also created custom maps for Muncie Community School teachers and professors. For the Indiana State Bicentennial Celebration in 2016, I published a set of Indiana history maps that are available for elementary classrooms. My focus was to create maps related to the hidden history of underrepresented groups and to highlight Indiana's somewhat surprisingly diverse past accomplishments, like book publishing and fashion design. Then here's another example. I did a map of the African American women in Indiana history. And then we did a whole series of maps related to women's issues around the world. This one's all about notable breast cancer survivors. And then we always create an exhibit for the different heritage months, like Native American, Black History Month, Asian American, and Pacific Islanders. This one was for Italian American Month. We've created a whole series of biographical maps of historic figures, especially people from Indiana, but as you can see, this one is about Anne Frank. And then sometimes we just make a map for fun. So in the summer of 2023, when the Barbie phenomenon was happening, we made a map all about the story of Barbie, which is kind of fun. And that's a really popular map that gets borrowed a lot by pre-service elementary teachers, just to teach about map skills on a fun map. In 2005, the map collection provided maps for the International Festival hosted by the Rinker Center for Global Affairs in Bracken Library that year. And we collaborate with the Rinker Center on programming related to international students, including providing maps for the weekly culture exchange about a specific country. We create map games and activities for the Ball State Summer Camp. It's called Camp Adventure. And so in this exercise, we cut up pieces of a United States map, and the students were allowed to color it however they wanted. They decorate it, and then we reattach the pieces all together so it looks like kind of a crazy quilt map of the United States, and then we take it back to the camp and they display it in their classroom. Every spring and fall, the GIS Research and Map Collection hosts a table at the College of Architecture and Planning pop-up library events, allowing students to learn about the cartographic resources available for their studio projects, but also to play some fun games and win door prizes. We created a walking tour for special events like Welcome Week and Women's Week. We take walking tours around campus using historic maps and photographs from the library's digital media repository. And then last summer, we created and distributed hundreds, if not thousands, of this week's of Welcome map that provides key information for new students, like shortcuts through buildings and inclement weather, interesting sites around campus like meditation spaces, and a whale skeleton suspended from the ceiling. Maps from the collection have also been used at numerous community events and programs, like the College of Architecture and Planning exhibit at the Indiana State Fair and a Black History Month exhibit at the Indiana State House. I created maps for the Indiana Humanities Indiana Suffrage Centennial celebration. And I've developed lesson plans and projects with Muncie Community Schools detailing how to incorporate maps from the collection into the elementary reading programs, because they don't teach social studies in Muncie Community Schools. So you have to sneak the social studies into the reading program. And we've collaborated with teachers. Every summer, Ball State hosts a civics academy, so we publish maps for that. I joined Cody Sprunger, who just developed this display that you see, from the Andrew Seeger Archives of the Built Environment, and Sarah McKinley from Muncie Public Library for a presentation about local architect Kuno Kibley for Preserving Historic Places Statewide Preservation Conference in September 2023. I've collaborated on projects with professors from dozens of departments, devising creative methods of using maps, and more importantly, bringing awareness to maps as an important primary resource. One of the map collection's biggest collaborations is with the School of Art, where students visit the library and then create their own artistic maps. We scan their original artwork and then add physical and digital copies to our map collection. So this is the map of the White River that I showed you. This is an art class that worked with Muncie Plyspace to create the cyanotype map of the White River using base maps from our map collection. They added objects found in the river during a cleanup day and added historical objects like a Pukwudgie, which is a Bigfoot character that supposedly lived near Mound State Park in Anderson. In 2022 and 2023, a visiting cartographer from Brazil taught art students about various map making styles for a project creating maps of fantasy and fictional settings. And here are some of their proud finished products. We displayed them in our front windows, which is on the balcony in Bracken Library, so it's a great place to have a little art gallery. And visiting students in Intensive English Institute created maps of their home country. English students learn to create online story maps as an introductory essay writing assignment. It's a unique method where the students depict their life story in a map format. This allows students to start thinking about storytelling using maps, and they gain skills for creating a unique presentation format that can be used in other classes. And pre-service teachers complete a project where they create maps following the path of a story in selected children's books. In the Department of Geography, Dr. David Call teaches students how to read topographic maps to determine how flooding and other factors influence a region's economy. Another project tasks students with creating 4 new walkable zones in a selected American city using historic and modern maps from the collection. Students from CAP, or the College of Architecture and Planning, are frequent visitors to the map collection. In one past project, they used detailed topographic maps of remote areas around the globe to plan a site's development, creating these 3D maps like this one of rice paddies in Eastern Asia. And then here's one of the Cliffs of Moher in Ireland on the left, and then the beaches and rainforest of Costa Rica on the right. CAP students are heavily involved in immersive learning projects, linking them to preservation and development plans for the Muncie community. Students have been working with the historic Whiteley neighborhood in Muncie. It's a predominantly African-American community. In one class, students created designs for a youth center and a park. The students also learn about the ongoing impacts of the historic redlining maps and how those discriminatory policies affect everything from sidewalks to stifled access to healthcare and even the hotter surface temperatures in an affected neighborhood like Whiteley. And Whiteley is the kind of pink lavender neighborhood to the far east on the map of Muncie. CAP students also are frequent users of the collection's Sanborn fire insurance maps, which are useful tools for studying the history of a specific building. The map collection includes sets of these maps from several Indiana cities and a few from Boston and St. Louis that Paul collected. I created a tutorial for using these maps that's available in the library's Cardinal Scholar depository, so anyone around the globe can access that tutorial, and first-year CAP students like to use that to teach the students what the different colors mean on the Sanborn maps. The map collection maintains a vast collection of historic aerial photography from Muncie and other cities around the state. These are creatively used in conjunction with the historic photographs in archives and special collections to bring past landscapes to life. We also collect maps from newspapers and magazines dating back to the 1930s, like the Life magazine featuring Muncie as an average American city called Middletown in 1937. And we have a large collection of Army service maps and nautical charts from World War II, including a set of German and Russian charts. We have a nice collection of popular bird's eye views for hundreds of cities, and these are surprisingly detailed representations of cities dating back to the 1800s. And we acquire new maps related to environmental issues and historic challenges, like this so-called urban renewal with the interstate highway construction of the 1950s, depicted on this map called Pink Houses, again focusing on the impact of minority neighborhoods. The Paul W. Stout Map Collection has been immersed and incorporated in schools, departments, and projects around the university and community. It's a living, working, learning, and storytelling space. The generous donations of these new maps maintain the library's collection as a fresh, thriving, unique, and updated treasure trove. So feel free to visit anytime to explore the world of maps. The admission is free. And I just want to thank you, Dorna, Dr. Ashrade, for inviting me to speak today. It was really a joy to come and speak to all of you.
Thanks. Any further questions?
Yes.
I may have missed it, we may have said right off the bat, but how many maps in the collection?
We estimate 140,000. There are about 20,000 maps that have not been cataloged. So they actually stopped cataloging maps for about 3 years in the mid 2000s. It was just a choice that dean made, and now the new dean we've started cataloging maps again, and they're cataloging probably a couple of hundred every couple of weeks. So it's pretty amazing. So we estimate it to be 140,000.
Thank you. And this has nothing to do with you, and maybe I again missed the memo. Where does the name Ball State come from?
So there was a college located where Ball State is today, like around 1917, that went bankrupt. It had multiple names. Palmer College was one of them. And the Ball brothers stepped in, the Ball brothers from the Ball canning jars, they stepped in and purchased the college, and it was around 1919.
Thank you. Other questions?
Thanks so much.